This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, August 2nd. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by Uncharted Channel 193 and live streaming on their webpage, easthamptonmedia.org. Councilors are participating in this meeting are gathering remote on the order extended until March 2025, which allows us to do so. I remind both the member of the City Council and the public participating remote remain mute until recognized by the City Council President. Thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Barbara.
Connie Denham.
Here.
Salem Derby.
Present.
Omar Gomez.
Here.
JP Kaczynski.
Here.
David Munier. Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Dan Rist. Owen Zara.
Present.
Councilor Derby.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the Pledge of the Legion rules since we don't have a flag available to us.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rule about the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Barbara.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
No.
Dave Munier isn't here, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he is.
Yep.
Dave Munier?
Yes.
Okay. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Riss. Oh, sorry, not Dan. Owen Barrett.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes. Thank you, Councilor Derby. Approval of the minutes. I will take a motion to approve the minutes of July 17th.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of July 17th. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
David Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Abstain.
Motion passes. Full speak time. This is the opportunity to address the council regarding any topic not listed in the public hearing. If you are here tonight to talk about the veto, this is the right time to do it because we don't have that item as a part of the public hearing. So if you're going to be, you want to make a comment or something about that particular issue or any other one, this is the time to speak to the council. I will give you 2 minutes and just please address your comment to the council. We'll start with Jackie Bruzeau.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez. I am here to address the contents of the Ordinance 6-23, safe and fair access to legally protected reproductive and gender affirming healthcare services, as well as the mayor's memo explaining her decision to veto. And here are my thoughts for what they're worth. On the face of it, the ordinance proposes to support safe and fair access to legally protected reproductive and gender affirming healthcare services. Absolutely, totally agree. And these are things we want for residents of the city of Easthampton, and our values support that. Also, there are things that are protected for all residents of the Commonwealth under current state law. However, the guts of this ordinance are around what a city agent can or can't do with certain kinds of health information. So in section 6-23.1, the ordinance mandates that the city share all information promulgated and distributed by the Commonwealth regarding productive healthcare services and gender affirming healthcare services. And I'm a little concerned about that part because it does potentially open the city up to challenges, legal challenges, because even though there aren't providers of abortion or reproductive healthcare in the city itself, there would be information about counseling services through Bethlehem House, where staff could potentially let individuals know about the crisis pregnancy center in Westfield. So I'm a little concerned about that. And then the ordinance itself, right? So section 6-23.3 is titled Safe Access to Protected Healthcare Information and would prohibit city agents from providing information or helping other municipalities, states, or jurisdictions that may want to prosecute or otherwise go after an individual who has accessed gender affirming or reproductive health care. So that section also prohibits the Easthampton Police Department from holding such individuals in custody or transferring them to other jurisdictions. And I just want to say that that's not really a thing that a city agent or the police could or would do because healthcare information is protected now by federal and state HIPAA laws. So there aren't actually municipal healthcare facilities that provide this kind of care. So it's unclear to me how a city agent would even know that a person sought this specific kind of healthcare. I think approving this ordinance could potentially open the city up to frivolous lawsuits around First Amendment rights from folks who are going to come at the city potentially for saying, you're preventing me from talking to folks about certain kinds of healthcare that are available in Westfield. My suggestion to City Council is actually to retract this ordinance and instead consider a resolution that would support the city's values toward gender affirming and reproductive healthcare, which I think that our values are pretty clear that we do support that. So those are my 2 cents for what they're worth.
Thank you.
Mr. President, just quick question. Did you say 2 or 3 minutes?
3.
3 minutes. Okay.
Are you doing it?
I am doing it.
Perfect. Thank you. Beth, and I'm going to apologize if I mispronounce your name. So Beth.
Thanks. This will be pretty brief. I'm Beth Love. I am a member of Indivisible Northampton, Swing Left, Western Mass. But I'm also speaking today as a mother of a 21-year-old daughter who lives in Easthampton. I'm asking you to please pass the ordinance so that my daughter and every other Easthampton resident will have clear, trustworthy information right on the city's website as to where one can obtain full spectrum medical reproductive health care and where one cannot. Please ensure that my daughter's medical records, no matter where she obtains her care, remain confidential and protected. Let her and let all residents of Massachusetts, since as you are probably aware more than most that all eyes are on you guys and women, please let her and everyone know that Easthampton stands up to bullies, whether those bullies are about filing frivolous lawsuits or spreading misinformation, and that Easthampton stands with her citizens for transparency, for safety, and for autonomy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ava?
Thank you. So my name is Ava Smith, and I'm speaking as a young person who has been attending the Williston Northampton School since 7th grade. And I've always cared about issues that affect my community. So when I learned about this potential anti-crisis pregnancy center bylaw, I knew that I wanted to get involved in any way I could for the sake of this town that's been a part of my life for so long. So as a recent 18-year-old, legislature like this holds a place very close to my heart as I think about my future and the future of my friends who live in Easthampton and anyone in our generation who's seeking reproductive health care and privacy in doing so. Access to reproductive health care must be treated as a fundamental right and a fundamental right to privacy. And Easthampton is in a favorable position where it may not seem like an emergency to pass this for this town right now, but with the approval of this ordinance, the town will be setting an example to surrounding areas looking to implement similar bylaws. So let's prevent further misleading information by passing this ordinance that may protect those seeking healthcare. This may encourage other towns to follow suit and sort of establish a multitude of these ordinances that will better protect not just my future, but the future of all young people in this area seeking healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Christine?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable President. And thank you, honorable colleagues. Please do the right thing and override the mayor's veto and honor your constituents by doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Alice? Alice?
Probably Alice.
Alice, I'm sorry. I say apologize if I mispronounce the names. Alice? You're muted. You muted.
Turn on your microphone.
And can you please don't unmute me? If you keep interrupting the meeting, I will push you out of the meeting, okay? So I'm gonna let Micaela first until Alice can figure it out with the microphone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Michaela Brangen. I am a resident of Amherst, Massachusetts, and I have spent the last 5 years living in Western Mass in the Valley. I'm of reproductive age, and I also want to join my fellow Valley residents in urging the City Council to override the mayor's veto, precisely because attacking these kinds of ordinances on the city level, particularly small towns and medium-sized cities, is part of a strategy that is about intimidation and chipping away the rights that all of us have. I should also affirm, too, that this is not just about CPCs and the kinds of misleading information that they send out. This is also about affirming protective LGBTQ plus healthcare as well. So if you've been living under a rock for the past year or so, forgive me for giving you a huge surprise, but this is a strategy that we really need to fight back on now. And I want to join Ava in urging Easthampton to set an example, because this valley is very interconnected politically, right? So it's not just about doing the right thing. It's also about doing the politically smart thing and making sure that the bulwarks are set up early for this in the state of Massachusetts. So again, I urge city councilors to override the mayor's veto, send a rebuke through that vote to the mayor who used her first veto of her career to cancel or try to cancel this legislation. And be brave. This is really important, and you can do both the right thing and the smart thing in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Shayla?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Shayla Ramirez from Planned Parenthood Advocacy Fund of Massachusetts. I wanted to originally thank the council for their tremendous leadership in originally passing Ordinance 623. To reemphasize, the ordinance mandates the city share all information promulgated and distributed to the Commonwealth regarding reproductive healthcare services and gender-affirming healthcare services. Such information serves to provide the public with an understanding of what they are legally accessible and protected services, how to access those services, and as well as any advisory from the Commonwealth pertaining to such services. Keeping my remarks brief, thank you again to the City Council, and we strongly urge you to override the veto and pass Ordinance 623.
Thank you, Shayla. Anyone else? Again, this will be the opportunity to talk to the council if you are here for the veto. Claire?
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm managing multiple screens here. That's the only reason I'm looking in another direction. But I just wanted to voice my support for the council's consideration of an override of the mayor's veto of this ordinance. As you've heard from many others, this is about a really important opportunity for the city to play a role in educating its residents about how to access legitimate reproductive healthcare services in our Commonwealth at a time when the internet and the public sphere is really ripe with misinformation and disinformation. And so I think it's a really, really important opportunity for the city to play a role in making sure that its residents can be educated and make well-informed decisions about their reproductive futures. So thank you so much for your consideration.
Amy? You're muted. Still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm so sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Amy Rashane. I live on McKinley Avenue in Easthampton. I'm a certified nurse midwife. I've been practicing for 9 years in Northampton, and I provide the full scope of reproductive care, which includes abortion. I am also the co-chair of the Abortion Rights Fund of Western Massachusetts Outreach and Communications Committee. And on behalf of myself and the fund and all abortion seekers we urge you to vote to override the mayor's veto to approve Ordinance 623. As a midwife, I am first and foremost an educator. I know there is no bodily autonomy without accurate and unbiased information. We cannot make good choices if we lack good information. It is shocking to me that the sharing of accurate public health information and the protection of people's private decisions about their bodily autonomy is still up for debate. No one, especially a city employee like a teacher or librarian, should be sharing any healthcare information that's intended to mislead or misinform. This should not be controversial or contentious. As the mother of a child who's starting in the Easthampton Public School District this fall, I am gravely concerned that the city would fail to make a stand on this issue. In her letter to the council, the mayor stated that Easthampton has a long history of governing based on values rather than fear or likelihood of legal repercussions. It is disappointing that she used the first veto of her career to overrule an ordinance that overwhelmingly passed based on fear of legal repercussions. I thank you for holding this open session tonight, and I ask you to stand by your commitment and demonstrate our city's values. I ask you to show Easthampton and all who are watching that the city is committed to the health, safety, and autonomy of its citizens, which relies on accurate and unbiased information sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. Holly?
Hi, can you hear me now? This is actually Alice Levine. I had to go on my partner's computer. I am also a resident of Easthampton. I live at 79 Plain Street. When I was 17, I was pregnant, and I'm now 69. My life would have taken a very different turn if I had not been able to get accurate information at that time. I feel very strongly, and I was really dismayed that the mayor, who we've supported, has used her veto in this way. I am also here supporting Indivisible Northampton. And we want to make it clear that the ordinance under discussion, in fact, has, although it's prompted many people to talk about abortions, it's really not about that. The bill itself neither endorses nor opposes the provision of abortion, but it does task the city of Easthampton with maintaining up-to-date information on its website about legally protected healthcare information, what it is, where it's available, and any state-issued advisories about such care. For example, currently Massachusetts has an advisory about deceptive advertising by many crisis pregnancy centers. So it seems to me to be a no-brainer that we want the citizens of this town to have accurate information and to know when there's an advisory from the state. The ordinance would also ensure that anyone seeking such care, whether they're from Massachusetts or an out-of-state resident, will be protected from having their healthcare information shared by Easthampton city employees with any third party, including officials from states that might want to criminalize this behavior, which in fact is legal and protected in Massachusetts. This is not a heavy-handed ordinance. It has no power to shut anything down, only to affirm and support the legally protected healthcare options available here in Massachusetts. It should be a bedrock point of departure for any provider. This is what the ordinance seeks to protect. If that commitment to truth-telling is controversial, one has to wonder why. So I strongly encourage, both as a resident and as a representative of Indivisible Northampton, that the city councilors continue the support they gave to this ordinance the first time around. My understanding is that all of you who voted for it the first time vote for it again. It's enough votes to override the veto, and I hope that'll happen. Thank you.
Thank you. I will be concluded with the public speak time. I will take a motion to open public hearing. I just want to let the councilors know I cannot see everybody in my screen. So if any of the councilors want to say something, please use the digital hand because I don't have you in my screen. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez,
Yes.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Dave Munier,
Aye.
Adam Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Rowan Zarrett,
Aye.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public hearing is open. Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. So what we have to start with is an amendment to our zoning, which is to add a section 10.04(7), which is an exemption from municipal property of the electronic messaging center ordinance. And this is something that is important as the city's ability to put wayfinding signs that can be changed is impeded by the current ordinance. And this will also bring this will also bring us into compliance with our own ordinance, as we currently have one of these signs. And I know the fire department is looking to add one of these signs potentially to the public safety complex. So this is something that we discussed in ordinance, and this passed 3-0. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Councilor Derby, this went to the planning board as well, too.
This did go to the planning board, and they also recommended this to the full council. Sorry, I omitted that.
Any councilor have any questions or comment before I open it to the public? Councilor Peak.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I just have to say what I said in committee about this because I'm glad we're doing this. I highly recommend that everyone vote for this, and I am looking forward to going in the future, but to expand this further. But I just there is a part of me that is disturbed by sort of the way that this is all going down because, as Councilor Derby said, one of the reasons that we're doing this is because we, the city of Easthampton, are currently owning and operating signs, at least one, that are not in compliance with our own zoning. This is not the first time in my time in city council that I have found us, the city, to be not complying with our own rules. We're about to have a whole different discussion about an ordinance. I want us to consider this, that it is troubling to me that there are currently people who want to put things like they want a sign like this for their own establishment, and they're being told no by the same city that is currently operating in violation of their own rules. I don't think that it's a little thing, right? It's a sign, whatever, but I don't think it sends a good message to the public that we can't follow our own rules. And so I am really looking forward tonight to passing this so that at least that little embarrassing thing is behind us. But I also would just, if anyone in the city who's listening, like, this isn't like an okay thing for us to do. We can't use the force of government to tell other people what they can do and then not follow those same rules ourselves. So right now we're carving it out for ourselves, so at least we're not embarrassed about that while we deal with how this should be dealt with more broadly by the public. But I just hope I don't have to find myself dealing with this sort of thing that many more times in my time in office, because it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So sorry to go on a little soapbox there, but it really, I don't know, just something about it does bother me.
Thank you, Councilor Peak, and I just concur with everything you said. Any other concerns? Anyone from the public who want to participate in this public hearing? Seeing none, Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to amend zoning ordinance to add section 10.04M7 exemption for municipal property as follows. No provisions of section 10.04 of the zoning ordinance pertaining to electronic messaging centers shall apply to municipal property or for municipal purposes. The exemption shall apply to signs that are stationary, fixed, or mobile and movable.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend the zoning ordinance, section 10.04, signs to add section 10.04M7. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Dave Munier,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett,
Aye.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye. Motion passes. The second item that we have the public hearing is about the traffic rules and order. Councilor Sabat.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm used to working with two screens, so bear with me for a second. So this amendment to our traffic rules and order deals with adding or removing some no parking regulations, primarily along Chapel and Adams Street. It was brought forward by you yourself, Mr. President, so I know you're intimately aware about this. Essentially, this does a few things. One is it takes into consideration the package store that recently relocated to Adams Street and is considerate of the fast-paced business that occurs there. Also, the fact that they don't have an official parking lot, or at least not a very large one. And so this creates 3 15-minute parking spaces right in front of the business during the hours of 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Second, it basically does a little bit of housekeeping and safety along Chapel Street, where there are some areas between Clark and Chapel that would be unsafe for cars to park there. So it adds specifically some no parking spots there. It also takes into consideration the change of Chapel Street overall from previously being essentially a mix between requiring spaces to be rapidly turning over during school time. And now that the school has been released as a school and will be turning over to other applications and taking into consideration the need for parking along the Cottage Street corridor, and our cultural district adds essentially 2-hour parking spaces on both sides of Chapel Street there. It also does a little bit of reconsidering and reconfiguring some prior large no parking spaces that were in existence essentially from the end of Maple Street and going down Adams, and reconfigures those to smaller areas. Let me just switch over here. I'm happy to read through each individual item. I know it's in the packet, but also for the sake of the public, I can go through each of those if you'd like, Mr. President.
Yes, Councilor.
Okay, so just for the sake of the public's information, this is essentially what this will do. So we'll start with section 1-24, parking prohibited in certain streets at all times. It will remove prior provision where for Adams Street, the easterly side from Maple Street, for a distance of 200 feet towards Briggs Street. That's the one that I was discussing, which was a very large no parking area, and we're making that slightly smaller. And this will add 2 no parking areas from Chapel Street, the easterly side, and from the intersection of Clark and Chapel for a distance of 165 in a northerly direction, and add another one on Chapel Street on the westerly side from the intersection of Clark and Chapel Street for a distance of 200 feet in a northerly direction. And then section 1-25, parking prohibited in certain hours. This is where we will remove completely a provision which previously was worded as follows: Chapel Street easterly side from the intersection of Maple Street for a distance of 200 feet in a southerly direction from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. From September 1st to June 30th. That was essentially the school zone parking that previously had existed on Chapel Street. And then we get into the 15-minute zone that we had discussed. This is section 1-26. Parking time is limited on certain streets. And section A is the 15-minute parking. And we will add, as primarily described by myself, Adam Street, westerly side, three spaces, beginning approximately 140 feet from the intersection of Maple Street from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We'll remove a 15 minutes parking zone on Chapel Street, westerly side, from the intersection of Maple Street for a distance of 200 feet in a southerly direction from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. from September 1st to June 30th. We're removing a number of 1-hour parking spots because we're going to make them 2-hour parking spots. And these are Chapel Street, both sides from Cottage Street to a point 200 feet north. Chapel Street easterly side from the intersection of Clark and Chapel Street for a distance of 67 feet in a northerly direction. Chapel Street westerly side from the intersection of Cottage and Chapel Street for a distance of 50 feet in a northerly direction. And then adding in section D, 2-hour parking, Chapel Street, both sides from Maple Street to a point approximately 245 feet in a southerly direction. So that's the entire length of Chapel Street. This had some really great conversation in the Public Safety Committee with the assistance of our planner, Mr. Bagg, as well as some of the local store owners. Again, I thank Councilor Gomez for bringing this forward. This was approved and recommended to the full council to ask for a vote with the described additions and removals by 3-0. And then, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you, both the officer presiding over the meeting as well as the author of this of these amendments.
Thank you, Councilor Sauer. And I just want to add that Mr. Norman gave us a hand with measures and everything in those streets. I think, Councilor Sauer, you cover everything pretty well. Thank you for your hard work and explanation about this. I just want to add that basically this is, we want to be business friendly. Right? We always talk about the need of parking in Cottage Street in the area. So basically it will be a better or easy solution for creating more parking spaces for the community and the visitors. And at the same time, helping the businesses there to move the traffic, like just 15 minutes parking for this business that people are going in and out just for getting something quick. Again, thank you, Councilor Sauer, for all the explanation. Any other councilor have any questions or comments before I go to the public? None. Anyone from the public want to participate about this item on the public? Mr. Wallace?
Yes, Wallace Rapolis. Good evening. I want to, I'm going to make this brief. In February of this year, my sister Paula Rapolis and I attended the monthly meeting of the Easthampton Historical Commission because we were concerned about the direction the Tasty Top Development LLC project.
Mr. Wallace, this public hearing is just to the traffic rules and order. The Councilor Sauer just explained about the parking spaces.
I'm sorry.
Is that was the public speak time?
I wanted to share this during public time. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but this is the public hearing, and this we are in the topic of the amend the Appendix A of traffic rules and order. Do you have anything to add about that?
I'm afraid not. No.
All right. Sorry, but that's what we have on the agenda now.
Okay. I'd like to share. It's very emotional because our mother, she wrote a book.
Mr. Wallace, this is a public hearing about the traffic rules and order. If you have something else, you have to wait until the next meeting for the public speak time, or you can communicate with the councils individually or by email. but this time is just about the public hearing.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Councilor Sarah?
Thank you, Mr. President. I will therefore make a motion. I'll move to amend Appendix A, Traffic Rules and Orders under Section 1-24, 1-25A, and 1-26A and C, although let me just make sure. It's actually A, C, and D.
Yep.
In regard to deleting and adding parking restrictions on Adams and Chapel Streets as shown in the information made available this meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the amendment of the Appendix A Traffic Rules and Order in the Section 1-24, 1-25A, and 1-26A and C and D. Do we have any further discussion? You know, Barbara?
Dave Munier,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett,
Aye.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye. Okay.
Boy.
Motion passes.
Aye. Aye.
I got it. Motion passes. I will take a motion to close over here.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? You know, Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Owen Zarrett,
Aye.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll continue with the communication for elected officials portion committee. Any councilor have anything for tonight? Seeing none. Mayor's communication. Madam Mayor? I asked before if you have something. I know you don't, but I don't know if you change your mind.
I have no communication. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Correspondence announcements from the President and Vice President. Before I start with the Mayor's veto, I just want to communicate to the public that the City Hall is closed by health issues. So if you want to see the city clerk or some others, like the tax collector, I'm pretty sure it's some of those officers, they move temporarily to the public safety. You always can call the city and they're willing to respond and answer all your questions or help you with anything you need. Be patient, but we want everybody safe in our building. So I hope that will be resolved soon. The second thing that I have is on July 21st, one of our officers, they've been with the city, working for the city 37 years of service. That was Captain William Kelly. That was his last day of his work. That was the last call. Thank you. Thank you, Captain Kelly, for your service. Definitely the city want to give you the gratitude of the hard work that you've been serving for the city for 37 years. Thank you once again. And now, I received a notification from the mayor that she vetoed the ordinance that we passed on July 5th. So I just want to share with the community that I shared that document with all the councilors. I'm pretty sure the media received that letter too. And I will open the discussion to the other councilors if anyone want to add something about that video. Any councilors? Councilor Peak.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So I found myself a little bit conflicted on this one, but I think that ultimately, if we're going to take a vote to override, my vote will likely be to do so. I think I share some of the concerns that some folks have said, and I've shared these concerns in ordinance as well, about whether the actual amount of utility that we'll get from this ordinance. We obviously walked back a long way from the original ordinance with the effort of avoiding any sort of big precedent-setting lawsuit. But it's true that I understand what the mayor's saying about concerns about frivolous lawsuits and whatnot. I think where I am, and this is sort of maybe more of a matter of principle than logic or whatever, is simply that I don't want that to become the standard that we evaluate our ordinances on, is whether or not there's a faction of activists out there that might file a frivolous lawsuit as a result of an ordinance. I think that it's understandable that, where the mayor's coming from. I get it as the sort of fiscal steward of the city, but I just, as a member of this council, I am very, I don't want that to be a tone that, if we set this now, I feel like we're going to be obligated to think like that every time we come into an ordinance committee or a public safety meeting about, well, is there somebody out there who's not going to like this? Or are we going to catch a lawsuit? Even if our city solicitor has said that we'd 100% win that lawsuit, if we're just like, it's going to be difficult to legislate, I worry, if that becomes sort of the standard that we set. And so for that reason, I do think we should move ahead with it. I also am leaving a little bit of room in my head that maybe there's elements of the landscape of this that I'm not fully grasping, and that it would have a larger impact than what I'm reading here. I mean, I could see some edge cases where it would be useful. Say if there's somebody who would like to file a complaint about something, but requires some help to do so, and so maybe that happens. But again, I think that it's mostly edge cases, but just the sheer number of people involved in sort of organized groups for and against this stuff that have showed up leads me to believe that maybe there's more to this than I completely understand. But one way or another, I am nervous about the precedent that it would set if we said, yeah, we had our lawyer look at it, it's totally in compliance with the law, but there's well-funded groups of people who might file a frivolous lawsuit, and so we shouldn't pass it. And just for that reason, I feel like I have to vote that I still feel the way that I did about it the night of, when I said basically these same words. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I know that members of the city council have seen this letter, but I think perhaps maybe the public is not aware of it. But on July 27th, so just a couple of days ago, we did receive a letter from the Lawyering Project, signed by Stephanie Toddy, Senior Counsel and Project Director, indicating that they are offering the Lawyering Project's services in the event that the city or any of its officers or agents are named as defendants in any lawsuit challenging Ordinance 6-22 should it be enacted. She went on to further say that the Lawyering Project is willing to defend the city on a pro bono basis, and for the public's knowledge, that means completely free of charge. I think what we have here before us right now is the opportunity to do the thing that we know is the right thing to do, with the assurance that we have a law firm that is willing to pay for any legal fees on our behalf should one of these frivolous lawsuits be enacted. Again, like Councilor Peak was saying, with respect to the mayor, I understand the role that the mayor has to play in the city, in in concerns of, financial risks that the city takes on, I feel more than confident that we have cornered all of these potential legal and financial risks. So, I am equally in support of the ordinance as I was before. I might even say that I'm more in favor of it now because however we proceed, there is no risk to the public financially. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riley. Any other councilor? Councilor Sarek?
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you to the councilors who spoke before me. I agree with everything you said. Every day in this position, we make choices that are impactful, but it's not often that we make choices that are globally and historically impactful. And I don't have a crystal ball, but I have a very strong feeling that upholding this veto, i.e. not overriding it, will have a negative historical impact locally, statewide, and even potentially federally for reproductive freedoms. It's already being used as a touchstone by right-wing and anti-choice organizations that try to continue to quench the fires of reproductive justice and freedom. Now, I'm just one vote, and I can only follow the path of my moral compass. And behind me, to the south, is anti-choice and conservative theocratic fundamentalism. To the east is bureaucracy, to the west is indecisiveness and ineffectiveness, and to the north, my north, is choice and freedom. And that's the only way that I can follow in which my moral compass points. This discussion is not about the ordinance at this point. It's about the mayor's reasoning for her veto. And they're just wrong. They're morally wrong and they're ethically wrong. Just look at all the 18 or so groups that have come out with clear, unwavering support to override the veto. Noteworthy organizations like Reproductive Equity Now, who advise our governor and our lieutenant governor and attorney general in their reproductive policies of the Commonwealth. Planned Parenthood Advocacy, Tapestry, Indivisible Swing Left, National Council on Jewish Women. This is just to name a few. It's also important to note the diversity of opinions among our religious community and that many religious groups support this ordinance. Our youth has chimed in as well. Thank you, Generation Ratify. You had a great op-ed in the paper today. And as someone else pointed out earlier, this isn't about abortion. It's about all reproductive and gender-affirming freedoms. These are the groups, these groups that support this, make it their business to stand up for and advocate for reproductive and gender-affirming freedoms. These are the voices to support and follow. This overwhelming support is clear evidence that the mayor's opinions, while well respected, are misguided and run counter to progressive policies and values. But she's also factually wrong. She states we just can't do this as a city. Of course we can. Our entire foundation as a municipal corporation is founded on promulgating, accepting, and supporting MGL. It not only includes enforcing the laws of the Commonwealth, but also sharing information for the Commonwealth. A very simple example of this are all the extraordinary efforts that we went through during the pandemic to share public health information. This is basically what we're doing here. We're sharing public health information from the state that is not expressing an opinion from the municipality, but just being a pipeline for consolidated information for the public to aid in information and access to public health. All of these groups who make it their business to assist in access to reproductive care say this will help. The mayor says it won't. Again, with respect to her opinion, I have to take these groups' overwhelming knowledgeable opinion over hers. They're the experts. And if it helps just one single person identify and understand what legally protected laws of the Commonwealth are around reproductive health care to make their own choice, we've done our job. Now, you've all been in these meetings. We've been threatened, we've been intimidated, we've been bullied by organizations whose sole purpose is to remove choice, to provide misinformation, to obstruct accurate information, and to restrict access to legal healthcare services. They have representatives who, in their role representing their clients, will provide any excuse or argument why what we are doing is wrong. They're doing their jobs, but their jobs are to further disinformation, to obstruct access to accurate information. It's a dim dystopia that we would live in where the notion of sharing public information and the opinions of our Attorney General is considered controversial. Think about that today. Upholding this veto is fueling the fires of disinformation, the opacity of government. As pointed out, we have pro bono representation to defend ourselves against these threats and frivolous actions. I've told you where I stand. I'm voting yes to override this veto. You need to make your own decisions and decide where you'll be written in the book of history. I'm going to sleep well tonight. I'm not going to regret my vote. And I urge you to do the same and vote with your conscience. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sarek. Any other councilor? Councilor Denham.
Thank you to everyone who spoke prior. I'm really moved in many ways tonight by the people who came out to support this. And I'm also, as a woman, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, as the only woman on this council who is voting tonight, I am sitting before 8 male constituents who are going to have a say in whether or not women's rights to choose are affirmed, and whether or not members of my community have access to healthcare information. And here we are on the precipice of a little city with a big heart taking on institutions with Goliath-sized bank accounts who are threatening us in regards to our commitment to members of our community who are attacked daily, nationally. And I am committed, right, to this ordinance in all of its questions, etc. This is an affirmation to members of our community who feel attacked, disenfranchised, etc. And it is our responsibility as elected officials to support them, right? Rightly, wrongly, this is contentious, this is going to cost us money, down the way. But this is what we're elected for in these moments, to be able to stand up for individuals. And there is no greater act of love than to stand before complete strangers to let them know that we are going to support them, regardless of whether or not we agree with them, support that, etc., but to hold them and let them know that their choices are their choices to make, right? And you can look nationally at all of the legislation that is being made that is taking the rights of individuals away. And, I support this ordinance. And again, I want to emphasize to the men on this council that you, once again, hold complete power to make a decision over the rights of women and gender nonconforming individuals in our community. And I want you to think about that. This is what we talk about time and time and time again, about power, about justice, and here we are seeing it play out right now in front of our community. As the only woman, as one of the only members of the LGBT plus community, you ultimately hold full power right now to decide this for women and gender nonconforming individuals in this community.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilor? Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to appreciate my colleagues for the words that they've said. My view on this ordinance has not changed since we approved it. And as the chair of ordinance, it has not changed one bit. And I think that I am heartened by the fact that we have written kind of guarantee that we would be protected in the case of a frivolous lawsuit. And let's be clear, it would be frivolous because this is not viewpoint bias. Because if you read the ordinance closely, you'll see that this is anybody seeking reproductive care. It's not just someone who's going to a CPC. And, you know, as a father of a daughter, it's really important to make sure that the young people in our community have accurate information. And I'm also a health teacher. So that's kind of my job. I teach sex ed. And giving accurate information is critically important. And I will tell you, anecdotally, and through all of my training and my 20 years of teaching sex ed and sexuality, there has never been an instance where someone from Tapestry or someone from Planned Parenthood has steered someone to do something they didn't want to do, from my understanding. And you'll notice that there is no advisory out for them. So I just want to be clear, the advisories are for a reason. And, you know, look it up. There's a lawsuit in Worcester right now. There is a reasoning behind this. But that being said, this ordinance would apply to any reproductive care that was doing something that was not above the board. So, you know, I still feel really comfortable with this. I appreciate my colleagues, and I am happy to override this veto.
Thank you, Councilor Darby. Any other councilor? Again, any other councilor have anything to add? I just want to, before if anyone's going to make the motion, I just want to add a few things. The first one is MGL Chapter 127 in our state. We have a section for the reproductive and gender affirmative care. I just want to add that the state at the state level is protected. Two, at the red lines of the city solicitor, all the councilor had, one of the first sentences that the city solicitor state in the letter is basically this ordinance is being called by the state. It's already called by the state. Yes, we received a letter from a group that will defend, or they said they will defend us, defend the city in this particular ordinance. But I didn't see any 100% commitment that will happen. That can withdraw tomorrow. They're not going to do it pro bono. Something else that I want to add is even if they say yes at the end, give it 100%, they're going to defend the city. We still have to spend some money with the city solicitor, and the city will be the liability in this case. We can see what is happening in Worcester right now, and it's concerning. The other thing that I want to say, doesn't matter which one is, which way councils are going to vote tonight. I'm pretty sure everybody's voting with conscience, and I'm pretty sure everybody's going to sleep well tonight because everybody's here. And I will talk about the full council. Everybody's here to protect everybody in our city. I want to add too, in the past, when the city spent some money, like 16,000 to feed people at the open house, even we have a councilor who say no because of the money. It was to feed people. We have recently we pay over $150,000 to South Hatley, and we have a long discussion. And some councilors, including myself, was pretty upset about spending that amount of money. That probably we can use it for something else in our community. I just want to throw that there too because I think that will be good for every single council to hear that too. Again, I just want to repeat the MGL Chapter 127 cover what we are talking in this particular ordinance. I don't know if any councilor want to make a motion.
Sorry, Councilor Gomez?
Yeah, Councilor, I see you now.
Yeah, I was.
I saw the audio. I don't know. I can't hear you.
So I did not have the benefit of your analysis. I apologize. Is it possible to give me a quick summary?
Yes. So you want me to repeat almost everything what I said?
Well, that's up to you. If you consider all of it something that I should hear before voting, I would be happy to.
We're gonna try.
Yeah, summarize. I apologize.
Right.
The computer. Yeah.
Yes. So the first is that I said the MDL chapter 127 protect it is an act expanding protection for reproductive and gender affirming care. That's in our law at the state level, and the Constitution protect that too. The other thing is, I said at the end of the day, even if we have a pro bono of lawyers defending this ordinance, the city will be the liability, still be the liability. So that will be the city will still pay. These pro bono lawyers have to contact the city solicitor, because at the end of the day, our city solicitor is the one who defend and work for the city, and he have to have knowledge of this. So that will be costing some money. I said that this council have 100% commitment with everybody in our community, the LGBTQ and the Latinos and the Black and everybody who live here, the people that are wealthy and the poor people too, the people who live check by check. Let me see if I missed something. In the past, we have councilors, including myself, that we had concerns or we didn't feel comfortable voting or approving some money. I will give some samples, like the $16,000 for the open house at the new school that we paid to feed people, over $150,000 to pay South Hadley to cover some expenses that we entered to in a contract with them. And I remember some of the councilors vote against it. I just want to bring that because at the end of the day, cool can cost money to the people of Easthampton. Basically, that's I think I say that that's what I said. And that is important for the councilors to know what is happening in Worcester. It's a lawsuit there about something similar that we are going through here. Basically, that was it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Councilor Farrett was the person. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I recognize your points. I think that, I can't provide you surety, but I could tell you that this group, the Lawyering Project, I don't think they have any intention of not living up to their word. They're basically a nonprofit group who make it their business to provide these pro bono services. So I can't imagine they would offer us those services and then remove them. But I think that, it's always fair to speculate. I agree with you that there's been objections in the past to spending money over various things. And I think that the two specific examples that you cite are excellent ones. I think for me, I look at it actually a little bit in reverse, that if we're willing to spend $150,000-ish plus legal fees to settle an issue over municipal broadband, then it's like that credit card commercial, reproductive freedom, priceless. Not that I'm belittling these costs or anything like that. And I'm also trying to imagine exactly what the damages would be here, other than if in some bizarre case having to just remove the ordinance. I just wanted to call attention to an article that Kim Driscoll, who's now our lieutenant governor and was the prior mayor of Salem, who enacted similar language, actually enacted some even more stringent language, similar to what Somerville did, where they actually put in place health department regulations that actually fine crisis pregnancy centers, and that's not what we're doing here. Here we're really just, people keep talking about this as a crisis pregnancy center ordinance. It's really a truth and access to information ordinance. And there's three quotes that I just wanted to lay out to the council and the public here about what both now Lieutenant Governor Driscoll and Rebecca Hart-Holder, who's the director of Reproductive Equity Now, had to say about this issue. The first is, we cannot do this work, meaning reproductive justice and equity, at the state level without the partnership of all 351 cities and towns across the state. Right now, as anti-abortion activists descend on municipalities, our cities have an opportunity to lead, and we can show the rest of the country what reproductive equity at the city level looks like. Second, this unprecedented crisis of public health, racial justice, and economics demands a coordinated all branches of government response, stretching from the White House to state halls to city halls. And the last is, the mission ahead of us in the fight for reproductive freedom is we need action at all levels of government. We look forward to getting started together. And I agree with you, while there are provisions on the state level, that we are reinforcing or expanding those provisions with this recommended language. And that's why I think that this is important to do, as well as just generally make a statement. So, but I appreciate your thoughts, and I think they are worthy for consideration, but still plan to move forward with a yes to override. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, so look, I don't think there's any illusions here. I'm one of those people who does not like spending the city's money. I was the sole vote for the party that the school threw without consulting city council. So I recognize that that's me. And I also was very vocally opposed to the types of money that we were spending when we were in the executive session over the situation with Hadley. So there's a key difference between that type of fiscal conservatism versus what we're talking about now. So in those two situations, we had people who were making decisions poorly that cost the city money, which then created opportunity costs that were lost to the community. What we're talking about now, even if we have to spend the money, is an opportunity benefit of human rights and equity and the ability for people to feel comfortable in their own skin and to know that their body is safe and secure, and that we will provide information to ensure that that happens. So these are two very different things. I will always be on the side of fiscal conservatism. I've always believed that, but human rights, social rights come first, always. So I fully understand that there may be a financial risk here, even if it's this small. But I'm willing to take a risk this small to protect people's rights versus squandering a broadband internet proposal that never actually went through. So these are two very different things. I just want to be on the record for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riley. I just want to add that those human rights are covered by the state. Councilor Sarek.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to clarify for the public about the reference to Worcester. Just so the public knows, there's a crisis pregnancy center, Clearway clinic in Worcester that's currently in the process of being sued, both for likely misleading advertising as well as performance of medical procedures by staff that wasn't properly trained to perform those services or to interpret those services. It's not, the city isn't being sued. It's that a entity which happens to operate within that city is being sued. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilor before anyone make anything? Councilor Kuczynski. You're muted.
about that. I wanted to say I appreciate very much everyone's comments. And this doesn't come easy. My thoughts on this in terms of the vote, because I certainly can see how both sides have taken this issue and made it so much more, I think, than what I think Councilor Zara intended, but I don't know. Anyway, if the situation were to change, I'd certainly be in favor or if the state didn't already cover all the items, I'd be the first to advocate that we pass a motion like this. I understand that the state covers all these items. I understand from Councilor Peak's discussion last time we met that this doesn't create any new rights or into the situation. So that being said, I put that on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kuczynski. Anyone else from the council? Anyone want to make a motion? Councilor Sarrett?
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to make a motion. I move to override the mayor's veto of the city council vote taken on July 5th, 2023, which amends the city ordinances chapter 6, miscellaneous offenses and provisions by adding a new section 6-23 entitled Safe and Fair Access to Legally Protected Reproductive and Gender Affirming Healthcare Services.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to override the mayor's veto of the city ordinance chapter 6, section 6-23. I just want to make a clarification. If you say yes, it's to override the veto. If you say no, is not override the veto. Barbara.
Brad Riley,
Yes.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
No.
JP Kaczynski,
No.
Dave Munier,
No.
Tom Peak.
Yes.
We have 5 yeses, 3 nos.
Motion didn't
Fails.
pass. Motion failed.
Shame on you, Councilor Gomez.
Councilor Riley, respect. It's the first time and the last time that I'm going to ask for respect. I never challenged anyone. I didn't say anyone how you guys vote. Respect is my vote. And I'm going to say it again. It's the first and the last time they're going to ask for respect. That's really unacceptable. Report for standing committees. Finance. So, Pete, I think you're going to do the report.
Sure, yeah. We have not met since the last time, so there's not much to report. Do we,
You have a next meeting?
No, that concludes.
Yeah,
Next meeting? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of didn't know I was doing this. We do have a next meeting, though, coming up. And it is
16th.
16th. So I will see you there at 5:15.
Let's conclude.
That's
Thank you, Councilor Peak. Police safety, Councilor Sarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have not met since the last meeting. We will be setting a meeting soon. I'll reach out to the 2 members of the committee. We obviously have voted on and removed the request to consider several parking amendments in downtown. I believe that the request to review traffic mitigation intersection Cottage Chapel, Clark, Holyoke Streets will expire just prior to our next meeting. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to request a 90-day extension on that item. That's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to extend for 90 days the request to review traffic mitigation intersection of Cottage, Chapel, and Clark and Holyoke Street. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Owen Zaret,
Aye.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Dave Munier,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Look like Councilor Riley's gone. Motion passes.
I received a very nice letter today from the Interfaith Council of Springfield, which represents a number of faith communities and congregations in support of the resolution against anti-Semitism. I can also report that I received word that the local diocese in Springfield will not support this. I urge members of this community or this council who are connected with any local faith group, especially ones in our city, to ask them for their support. It's important that this is a multi-faith, this is supported by many faith groups. I have written to every church in our city now twice and have not received any word back from them. I'm sure that's more of a technology issue, but I think it's very important that people reach out to their faith leaders, their community leaders, and their faith organizations to ask for support on this. Obviously, I'd like to be able to bring that forward to the council with as robustly support from community as possible. That's one of the reasons it hasn't come forward for a vote. So I just wanted to put that out there. Again, I'll reach out to the two other members from my committee regarding our next meeting, and I'm just eyeing these again. I don't think we need any other extensions at this time. I can take those at the next meeting. This concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Zaret. Appointment, Councilor Riley is not here. I guess he left and he forgot about his constituents. And we don't have any, we have new business, but then we're gonna deal with it. And we don't have a date yet for the meeting. Ordinance, Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we were planning on meeting next week on the 8th, but now that City Hall is closed and we would have to meet virtually, I think we're going to postpone that meeting. And I'm just going to send some informational materials to the committee members. So when we meet in person, we'll be able to move forward. I do have a couple of housekeeping issues. It looks like the Ordinance Review Committee's final report. Let's get 90 days on that in the form of a motion, please.
Second.
Before the second, is there another item that you have to extend? You don't want to do the both at the same time?
You know what, honestly, let's do all since they're pretty close. Let's just do all three.
Who made the second?
Looks like JP did.
I can remove the second and then
I made the second.
You want to remove it so that way we can include all three?
Sure. I removed the second.
Yeah, and I move all three, get a 90-day extension.
Second.
I have a 90-day extension for the 3 items in Ordinance Committee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Dave Munier,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Motion passes.
This concludes.
Thank you, Councilor. Property, Councilor Kaczynski.
No report except to say that I did receive a call from one of the mill owners and who will be submitting an important easement request shortly, I expect. And I would prepare for that in the September meeting and go ahead and expect that we maybe have a property meeting between the 2 September meetings to come to resolution, hopefully by the 2nd meeting in September of the city council.
Thank you, Councilor. Rules and government relations. Do we have a date for that for the meeting or no?
The 16th at 5:45.
And that will be remote.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any old business or pending, new business. Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I believe that there are 6 appointments to send to appointment subcommittee. So I would move to send all 6 to appointment subcommittee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move the 6 mayoral appointment to the subcommittee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Dave Munier. Tom
Aye.
Peak. Sorry.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Motion passes. So there
Thank you, Mr. President. And I believe that the request for to establish an Easthampton Night Out donation account is something that we're acting on tonight. I don't have that in front of me. Is that something you want me to read?
It should be read.
Yes, but before you read it, I know the mayor is on the call, and this came from the mayor. I just want to let the mayor to speak to the council about why need this and why we have to take action tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. The National Night Out is a longstanding program to bring our community together with government departments to emphasize that it is safe in Easthampton and for people to get to know each other. Several other communities around us do that. How this is going to look in Easthampton and why I'm asking for it tonight is that we'd like to celebrate the night out during the same time in August as other communities. So we have joined the barbecue that the police department sponsors every year with other departments in the city, including health, fire, and to celebrate our community that is just around the corner. And there are folks in the community and businesses in the community who'd like to make donations, and we don't have a specific donation account. I did not feel comfortable accepting donations we have a general community donation account, but these are very specific, and we want to make sure that this event is funded properly and retains those donations specific to it for years going forward. So I asked for a rush donation account so we can accept what is has already been promised, and people who want to support, give them the opportunity to do it this year.
And Mr. President, I can make the motion whenever you're ready.
Already.
Okay. Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A, approval is hereby given to establish an account for the purpose of receiving funds designated for the Easthampton Night Out donation account. I think that's all I need to say.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to establish an Easthampton Night Out donation account. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
David Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Derby?
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I have to get back to where I started here. So give me a moment. Because I am working on only one screen here on vacation. Okay. So now we have some finance interdepartmental transfers, and I will do the first reading of $225,000 for fiscal 23 old bills. So I'm going to have to get to there, but I know where it is. So it should be good. Okay. Request is hereby made for approval of the following interdepartmental transfer. Amount requested, $225 to be transferred from city payroll and processing account. Oh God, this is really testing my eyes here. 001.1450.5312 and account 001.1450.5319 professional services to be transferred to 001.1450.5312 city payroll processing and 001.1415 5319 professional services. The amount requested will be used for the following purposes: to provide to pay for prior fiscal year 23 time and attendance and shredding expenses. I think I did that right, but some of it was cut off. So if I missed it, I apologize.
We need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the interdepartmental transfer of $225 for the fiscal year 23, all bills. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, this is to send it to the finance committee. And do you?
And set the public.
No, let's vote for this because we have a motion and a second, and then Barbara.
Okay. JP Kaczynski. Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Owen Zaret. Connie.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye. Motion passes.
And I apologize that I didn't set the public hearing at the same time for that. I believe it's for September, remind me, 6th. So that's in the form of a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to schedule public hearing about this transfer on September 6th at 6:15. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks for the Derby.
And I would like to make a motion to send the proposal for non-binding policy question on city ballot multi-winner ranked choice voting, I believe, to rules.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send the proposal of the non-binding policy question of city ballot to the Rules Committee. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we have two items to send to public safety. One is amendment section 1-24, no parking at all times, to add no parking areas on Keedy and Vadnais streets, and a request to petition the state to change speed limits on Northampton Street, Route 10. And those would both go to public safety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move to the public safety the proposal to amend Appendix A, traffic rules and order. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion passes. Look like we do everything we have on the agenda. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Barbara?
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Motion passes. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Good night.
See ya. Good night.
Good night, everybody.